All right, you guys, there's one more section we wanted to talk about, which is solving quadratic inequalities, or as I call it, alligator parabolas, because you got quadratics and you got alligators. The alligator being right here, and the quadratic being right here. So, the steps to solving these, I think I've talked about this before when I've talked about zone testing, but you really just pretend the whole thing is an equal sign and solve like normal. So if this was just x squared minus 6x plus 8 is equal to 0, how would I solve it? I don't think this is a good quadratic formula candidate, because looking at these numbers, I think that I can find two numbers that multiply to positive 8 and add to negative 6. They are negative 4 and negative 2. So boom, x minus 4, x minus 2 is less than 0. Now, I've had students come at me with like, well, if the alligator's this way, you go in between and outside, and you just remember this, that, and the other. But I feel like I can throw all that out the window if I just rewrite this way, and then like all the rules that you're trying to remember like go out the window. So I highly encourage zone testing every time. If I were to solve this and set these equal to 0, this would be positive 4 and negative 2. Sorry, positive 4 and positive 2. So I know that on my number line, it has something to do with 2 and 4. Then I choose numbers, 3 numbers that are inside. So I'll pick a number from here, let's say 0, a number from here, let's say 3, and a number from here, let's say 5. If you plug those back in to the original, which is up here, you should check to see if they are true or false. So if I put a 0 up in there, so 0 squared minus 6 times 0 plus 8 is less than 0. I have to figure out whether or not that's true or false. So let's see. Positive 8 is less than 0. That is false, which means this area here is a no. Then if you put a 3 in there, you get 3 squared minus 6 times 3 plus 8 is less than 0. And then you go, okay, 9, take away 18 is negative 9 plus 8 is negative 1. So negative 1 is less than 0. Yes, that's true. So this works. And then if you plug in 5, this does not. So your final answer is that, let's see how they put it in the book. Are we doing their IB notation? Oh, no, let's do it this way. That it's in between 2 and 4, not including 2, not including 4. So this would be your answer. X is in between 2 and 4. Okay, next one. Once again, just solve it like normal. So I would get everything on one side. Subtract the x over to get minus x. Add the 3 over to get minus 2. And this would be less than or equal to 0. Then, let's see, negative 4. Two things that multiply to negative 4, but you know what? I think this one might be, I know I just moved everything over. Should I complete the square? Yikes. Or quadratic formula. I think the book Quadratic Formula is it. Gross. So if you run the quadratic formula, you get x is equal to 1 plus or minus root 17 all over 4. But that's if it was equal to 0. So when you zone test this, you're going to put 1 point here, which is negative 1 minus root 17 all over 4. And the other point here, which is positive 1 plus root 17 all over 4. Now, to be able to zone test these, you would have to make approximate decimal approximations for these. So negative 1 minus square root 17 divided by 4. Oops, I think I careful with your parentheses. -1 minus square root of 17, close parentheses, divide by 4, is like about, oops, -1.28, and then 1 plus all that is about 0.78. So when I choose numbers, I would probably choose like 0 is in between, 1 would be on this side, and like -2 on this side. And then you're going to take all those numbers and plug them, so take like the -2 and plug it back in to the original. Whoa. Up here. If you do that, let's see. If I put a -2 back there, so we get 2 times -2 squared, take away 5, you get 3, and then 3 is greater than or equal to -5, which is true. So here, this is a yes. This is going to be a no. Just a real quick. -5 greater than -3. No, that's not true. And then this will be a yes as well. Generally, that's usually how it works out, that like, you know, it's either outside or inside. So in this case, it's like everything this direction is a solution and everything this direction is a solution. The alternate would be that if it was between the two, that it would be everything in between the two. It usually works out like that, that it's either between the 2 points or everything outside the 2 points. So final answer on this one, x is less than or equal to, because the original had the or equal to in it, -1 minus root 17 over 4, and x is greater than -1 plus root 17 all over 4. Final answer. The next one's kind of funny because it's really just a calculator problem. They say to solve it graphically. So what you do is you move everything to one side. 2x squared minus 7x plus 4 is greater than or equal to 0. So when you graph this on your calculator, you get something like this. Then your answers are like, it crosses here and here, because this is when it's greater than or equal to 0. That means it's only when it's like above the x-axis, here and here. So using like your intercept function or your trace function, you need to figure out what these points are to 3 sig figs. And they are 0.719, so x is less than or equal to 0.719, and x is greater than or equal to 2.78. Last question. Find the values of k for which x squared plus kx plus 9 has no x-intercepts. This is an important problem because I think I've seen this come up on the IB exam over multiple years. They love this style of question where they throw a variable in there and then ask you about this, like, make it have 1 intercept or no intercepts or 2 intercepts. You guys, the no intercepts part means that the discriminant will be less than 0. From the quadratic formula, the b squared minus 4ac will be less than 0. So this, like, right here, this is how the alligator ties in, because it's when the discriminant is less than 0. So let's think. The discriminant is b squared minus 4ac less than 0. That's when there's no x-intercepts. So this would be k squared minus 4 times 1 times 9 would be less than 0. So k squared minus 36 is less than 0. So k minus 6, k plus 6 is less than 0. Just difference of squares there. So I know that my answers have something to do with -6 and +6. Then if you pick some numbers like 0, like 7, like -7, and throw them back into this right here, you can zone test. So if I throw them back into, that's not different enough, k squared minus 36, if you put a 0 in there, -36 less than 0, yes. So it's yes, no, no. So the answer is when k is in between +6 and -6. All right, guys. Good luck with those review problems. HMU, hit me up.